Hey, everybody, welcome to a fun-filled afternoon here on Saturday, April 27th, and we're hanging out at Cafe HQ. We're going to be doing a live interview and art sale with longtime friend, Mr. Joseph Linsner. And it's we've done a few of these with him before. They're always a lot of fun and insightful. We get to see a lot of beautiful artwork, and today won't be any different. We've got 31 pieces of artwork to look at. Most of it published, some of it not, and but all of it absolutely beautiful. So without further ado, let me bring in the man of the hour,
Hey,
Mr. Joseph Linsner. Hey, man, how you doing?
doing all right, Bill. How are you?
Very, very good. I had a bit of a bug, and I'm just getting over it. I find today's the first day I actually feel normal again. So, I don't get colds too often, but yeah, I'm happily to have made my way through that one, and I feel great now. So, we've got a lot. We were talking a lot before we got started here, but one thing, and I kind of forgot about that. You took all 2023 off from the convention circuit, right? I mean, not a single show at all, or did you?
The only thing I did was free comic book day at Dr. No's in Alpharetta, Georgia. But aside from that, I did not do a single convention appearance, and it felt great. It felt wonderful. The only time, or I should say the last time I had done that was in 1996. But I started doing conventions in November 1987. And every year since then, I've done between 6 and 20 conventions. So yeah, just
To take a year off.
take a year off, and it felt good. It totally recharged my batteries, and I'm dying to get back out there and sign some comic books and shake some hands and and interact with people. Which
That's
the solitude of the artist life drives any of us crazy every now and again. So it's nice to interact, and I have so many friends that I only see at conventions, and I'm dying to get back out there.
That's true. And you do have a free comic book day coming up, right?
Yes, I'm going to be at Battlegrounds
Here we go.
Games and Comics in Dalton, Georgia. And they're also going to have Mr. Adam Hughes and Mr. Terry Moore, and my wife, Christina D. Linsner, will be there, as well as a handful of other great artists and writers. And I've never been to the store, but everyone I know who's been there said it's a totally beautiful, grand establishment. And I'm excited. Really looking forward to that.
I have never been there, but boy, I mean, you got Terry Moore, Adam Hughes, you and Christina and other creators all there on Free Comic Book Day. That's like a get together that you don't want to miss if you're anywhere near Battlegrounds Games and Comics. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's looking to be a great day.
Now, it is May the 4th, of course. I mean, are you going to be prepared to draw some Star Wars characters?
I better be. I can bring my lightsaber.
Well, hopefully they've got one laying around the shop, at least one. But yeah, that's cool. There's a lot of comic artists in the Atlanta area. I mean, I think there's no loss for getting people together for a free comic book day. As far as being in the Atlanta area. I mean, having Adam and Allison nearby, that's always a bonus. We had them at OAX. They actually drove down. He brought his drawing table with him. So he was absolutely comfortable when he came to our show last January. So, yeah, would you do the same?
Was that the same table he draws with every day, or does he have a special mobile?
Yeah, no, he brought his own table, had it turned in the corner and he even set up a row of chairs because he was at the end of an aisle. So he kind of put it so that it would face the aisle, and they set up some chairs so fans could just sit down, hang out, watch him draw. And
wow.
Yeah, and he was facing like Jimmy and Amanda, so he could just lean over and BS with them and then lean back and draw. And so, yeah, it was a pretty good layout, I think, for him.
Very nice. That is one of the things that's odd about doing conventions is the occasional moments of stage fright. When people like, oh, do you mind if I watch you draw? And for the most part, it doesn't bother me. But every now and again, you get this weird feeling like, quit staring at me, It's a little tough to concentrate sometimes. But like I said, I've been doing conventions since '87, so I've gotten pretty good at it over the years.
Yeah. Do you feel like you do your best work back at the room when you're doing, commissions at shows, or do you feel you can still get it done on the floor and communicate with your fans?
Um, Actually, I do my best work in my studio back at home where I can kick my shoes off. But yeah, I've gotten pretty good at drawing at shows. The only um, occasional drag is when I'm constantly interrupted to sign things. Which I saw George Perez had the perfect solution for that. He would be at his table, but he'd have a sign up saying, George is only signing between 2 and 3, and he would spend the rest of the time drawing.
Hmm.
And I've actually done that once or twice, and that actually works very well.
People are respectful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I remember George doing that because he always was busy. He was always talking. I mean, I don't know how he had the energy that he always had when he was at a show. I mean, there's never been anybody quite like him.
Oh, he was Mr. Friendly. He was so charming. He was so wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. But yeah, that's smart. So do you have any shows on the schedule for 2024?
I do. Going to be doing Tucson, Baltimore, Heroes Con, a couple of other ones. And my mind is drawing blanks. But if you check my Facebook page, that stuff should all be listed on there.
Sweet. Well, I'll definitely see you at Heroes. I still got to take care of some of my flight and my hotel arrangements, but I am going. I know that. I love that show. So and I guess people at Baltimore will be happy to have you going there this year. That's always a fun show too.
Oh, those are like two of my favorite shows.
Yeah,
because they're very comic centric, and also those are great towns. They have great restaurants, and just a great vibe. And I grew up in a city, so I live in the woods now. And whenever I get to visit a nice city, it's nice to just walk the streets and get that city energy, which Baltimore and Charlotte definitely have.
They do. Yeah, Charlotte's just a beautiful city. I mean, it's like the perfect spot to have any kind of a show because there's just so many restaurants within just a couple blocks. You don't even have to Uber to most places. Baltimore is pretty much the same. But yeah. Well, that'll be good. I'll be glad to get to see because I feel like the last time I saw you in person was at Heroes, and I don't remember.
2022.
It might have been 20. Yeah, right after the pandemic. I think I saw you there. And we didn't get to talk. I think we got to wave at each other, but it's
how it goes. You blink and like, oh yeah, I'll see you later, and then before you know it, the show's over.
Exactly. Well, that's one show where it's packed with artists, right, from one end of the hall to the other. So it's easy. To get a little sidetracked if you're not going to be there for every single day and every single minute. Some people are throwing out. Let's see, what was it? Bryce was saying Tucson. That'd be cool. I wonder if you meant Phoenix though, or is it?
The one in August, the Tucson Phoenix show.
So maybe that's the one.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, how many big shows? How many 3 or 4 day shows do they have in August?
I don't know. I've actually never been to Phoenix, so I can't say for sure.
I was there like 10 years ago, and that was a great show. Lots of energy, lots of every show has its own vibe, and the time I was there was great. So I'm looking forward to going back there.
Have you ever been to Boston? I see Greg Hodson here saying you should come to Wicked Comic-Con, which I think.
No, I've never been to that. I'd love to go there. They should send me some info.
Yeah, well, I know some of the people that run that show. My editor Colin Solon, he does the PR and marketing for them. I think he's on one of the committees. So I'll make sure he knows you're interested. I mean, Boston's a fun city, obviously. I went to college there. I mean, you can't go wrong hanging out in Beantown. You'll always have something to do.
I love Boston. Boston struck me as the perfect balance between New York and London. It was like New York except smaller. And I don't know if you've ever been to London, but the structure of the streets, it felt very very similar.
I've been there twice. Yeah, just go hanging out with my son when he was doing some Pokemon work there. So playing around. So I got to go and hang out with him once, and then I went on my own one time. I love to go back. London's a lot of fun, but you're right. Boston does have a feel very similar to London. Yeah, everybody wants you to go to their shows. You could be really busy. You could probably go to a show 3/4 of the year, 40 weeks a year, and probably still be in demand. Someone said come to Salt Lake Fan Expo. Yeah. See?
I've never been to Salt Lake. I'd love to go there someday.
Very cool.
Yeah,
So
they should drop me a line at joelinsner@gmail.com.
everybody,
That's my email address. If anybody's interested, just drop me a line.
right. Well, they should hit you up. They should hit up all the the show organizers and get some deals done here. But yeah, we'll be talking about OAX as well. I mean, we were earlier in the green room. We talked about, because I know originally we had talked for first year and it just wasn't going to work out. That was too early in where you weren't going to shows in 2023. But yeah, we'll see if 2025 will work out. We just started ticket sales again, and we're finally in like full planning mode for our show next January. It's gonna be the last weekend in January, the 24th through the 26th.
Well, for me, this year, getting back out there, Free Comic Book Day is going to be my, first event. So that should ease me gently back into the whole public interaction thing. Now, and January was just too soon for me.
Sure, I don't blame you. But I assume you and Adam, have you guys been to shows before, or have you done Free Comic Book Days at any of the local stores before, or Terry Moore?
I've done conventions with both of those guys. I know Adam better than I know Terry. I've had dinners and been over at Adam's house, and Adam, is such a great guy. Terry's a great guy too. I mean, part of me wanting to go to Battlegrounds is to hang out with those guys, because I haven't had a chance to talk with them in a couple of years. I mean, pre-COVID, really.
Mm-hmm.
Which I mean, does that feel like it was 20 years ago, pre-COVID?
Kinda, when you start thinking about 2019, it is 2024 now. It does feel like a very, very, very long time ago. I mean, but yeah, it does. I get it though. It's time flies these days. We don't take a lot of time to relax and kind of like do things for ourselves, and I think that's kind of part of it. Things just keep blowing by. I mean, I'm finally going to take a vacation in August, and that'll probably be my first. The last time I took a vacation with my family was right before the pandemic. It was like February 2020, so right before the lockdown. I went. They were flying to Australia, so we decided to go to Vegas for 2 days, and then I would fly back with one of my kids, and then the rest of them would go on to Australia. And that was right, like a month before the lockdown. So that was the last time I took personal time, really, where I actually had thought of what I was doing as a vacation. But we're going to do something in August. We're going to go to Hawaii for a week.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah, it's wrapped around Pokemon again because there's a big tournament there. But so
what does your son do? What does your son do with Pokemon?
He plays, competitively against other. Well, most of them are adults now. He's 25 now, but he's like top 4, top 8 in the U.S. right now, and so they pay to have him go to a lot of these trips. He gets a stipend, his flights covered, hotels partially covered. So if we go as a family, then at least we don't have to worry about covering him, and one of the rooms will be covered. So wow, I
had no idea there was such a thing.
Yeah, it was kind of, they've been doing it for like a dozen years, and it was great when they were underage because they needed an adult to travel with the kids, so
right.
They get an extra stipend. So Maureen went everywhere. She's been to Australia 3 or 4 times. She's been to Europe 3 or 4 times, South America. They went to Tokyo last year, and yeah, it's
wow,
it's fun, but at least it gives us a reason to get out, because otherwise, sure. I sit at this desk at least 16 hours a day. I mean, you know how it goes, man. When you work from home, you're always working. So it doesn't, and we do fun stuff. At least we're involved in comics. It doesn't, I think the work that we do doesn't make us feel like slaves to the job or anything, because it's fun and it's what we want to be doing with our careers and everything. But it's still good to get a break every now and again.
Yes, definitely. And I sometimes get too wrapped up in my own little bubble, my own little microcosm. And, my beloved wife, Christina, she's good at pulling me and, hey, let's go out to dinner. Let's, get some fresh air. Let's, let's see some human beings. Let's go to a party or something,
I hear that. That's me begging Maureen to go out. She's more of a homebody, but I told them we're going out to one of those Florida kind of flea markety kind of places. It's called Renegers, and I told them we're going there tomorrow. I don't care what we find, see, do, whatever. We got to get out. You know, we'll eat some flea market food, and we'll look at whatever the heck they have at this thing. But hey, but I've seen some questions from the chat, and let's see. Timothy Osborne wanted to know if you do commissions. I don't think you ever, at least from times we've talked, you don't really do take home commissions, but you do take convention sketch lists when you're at shows, typically, right?
Yes, when I'm at shows, I take commissions, and I try to get them done at the show because I actually have a backlog of a handful of commissions which I owe people. And anyone watching, please bear with me. I'll make it worth your wait, and that's why I'm not accepting new commissions right now. I don't want to, get myself into deeper trouble with a deeper backlog of stuff. But one of my goals for this year with getting out and doing conventions again is to wipe the slate clean, so I'll be able to take commissions. So hopefully by the end of summer, if not sooner, I want to have my list clean. I'll be able to take commissions then.
Awesome. That's everybody likes to get something personal, right? I mean, I assume when you go to shows, do you do a lot of pre-done work that you take with you, or do you just take published covers and things typically?
I do both.
Yeah.
There are certain characters that I know people always want from me, like say Dawn. So I know I can always bring, Dawn art, and the pieces that we're going to be selling today were done in 2023. And they were meant for conventions for last year, which I ended up not doing. So that's why they're for sale today.
Perfect. I was happy to see a couple Dawn pieces in there, that because people always want those. I mean, that's when we think about the creators we love. I think most of us think about the characters that you're most associated with, and of course, Dawn is one of those. And I remember even just recently, I think you posted on Facebook, somebody asked you about selling Dawn art, and you're like, we don't sell any published Dawn work. And I think that's it's challenging, right? Because I'm sure you get offered to people wanting to buy stuff all the time, but
oh yeah, like I have a couple of really famous covers that people have offered substantial prices for, but yeah, I want to hold on to those. And I think we talked about this before, how Frazetta, he held on to the cream of the crop with all of his stuff, and Will Eisner also. And, it's cool to have that as almost like a retirement nest egg to look forward to. And also Walter Simonson. I mean, God, how much of his like essential comic book work has he held on to? That's amazing.
9.5% of it, I have a feeling, the few pieces he might have, donated to a charity auction or something like that. But if he got it back, it's not out there. The only stuff you ever see from Walt really is when somebody else inked it, right? And there isn't a lot of that because he inked himself so much. The Thor work that he did, I think most people would love to get a page from that, an interior page from Thor, but I think only one or two of the issues were inked by somebody else. So, a third of those one or two books are out there in circulation. Outside of that, yeah, you don't see anything by Walt. I once owned a page from X-Men versus Teen Titans and foolishly sold.
I was going to ask, what did that book go out there into the world? The original story?
Because that was inked by Austin.
Terry Austin.
Yeah, so I think a third of that book would have been out there, or is out there. And I've only seen the one page that I owned ever, and I should never have let it go. I foolishly sold it, thinking, you always think you can replace something. And that was one that I should have really thought long and hard about, because Simonson artwork from a book that so many of us really loved, right? I mean, it was
that book's iconic. That book is awesome.
My gosh, the format was, it was at that time when they were doing just the that really, really nice format on the books. I mean, everybody had to read it if you were a Marvel or DC fan. And I'll regret that one to my dying days, because other than that piece, I know I've never seen another piece officially out there. So yeah, but that's cool though. I'm glad that you that the Dawn artwork is there. It's a retirement opportunity for you one day. And yeah, I think that's awesome.
And also, the practical reason of needing it for reprint purposes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the last time I went to reprint one of the Dawn things, mysteriously, one of the pages in my digital archive was missing, and I couldn't find it. So thank God I had the originals and had to rescan it, and But yeah, I've talked to other people. I know James O'Barr. He sold a lot of the Crow artwork, and they've been able to do reprints of it based on the printing from the printed book, and that's easier to do with a black and white book than it is with a color book.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I want to hold on to that stuff so I can keep my work in print and have it looking good, as good as possible.
Well, I hope it's in a fireproof safe. That'd be the only
Not
thing.
that good, but safely in my studio, guarded by hellhounds.
That's good. I saw Eric Grove Art, who was actually at one of the exhibitors at OAX. He's a painter. He said, what medium do you typically do your color work in? He's
I use a variety of mediums, largely alcohol marker and pencil and acrylic paint with occasional bits of airbrush. A lot of the pieces we're going to see today were done primarily with Prismacolor and Copic alcohol markers with highlights and detailing in Prismacolor hard and soft pencils. And again, various bits of acrylic paint. And, the difference between what we're going to see today and what sees print on the comic covers is the digital tweaking.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if I had the time, I would do everything organically. I would much rather have everything completed on the page, but doing 3 to 8 covers a month. I just it's an expedient thing doing finishing things up digitally. But what I try to do is on the original have enough meat, enough protein on there so that these pieces have a life of their own, even though they don't have the digital background added in.
Yeah.
And at some point in the future, I do want to do videos detailing my process, which I find endlessly fascinating, seeing how other people get things done. I mean, the bottom line is whatever works for you, and everybody has, a different approach. And I've been able to incorporate little bits from other people, and I experiment. I'm constantly experimenting, constantly trying out new things. I'm like a little kid. Whenever I go to the art store, I get to poke around, like, ooh, what's this? Oh, wow, And I mean, I recently got a hold of some really high-end acrylic paint pens. The technology in acrylic paint pens is totally leapt forward in the last 5 years or so. And yeah, like for example, I saw Addy Granoff doing fantastic remarks on Tool posters, the band Tool, and using these acrylic paint pens. It's like, holy cow, you can do that with an acrylic paint pen now. So I got a handful of those things, and yeah, I'm going to be experimenting with those.
Sweet. That's really cool. Hey, there was a suggestion from Chris DeChick in the chat, asking about how about a Dawn omnibus one day, maybe kickstarted. Is that something that you've ever considered?
Yes, at one point a couple of years ago, Image Comics wanted to do a big Dawn omnibus, but I shied away from it because the fourth Dawn book, which would round everything out, isn't done yet. And after I do the fourth Dawn book, then that'll it'll be a more complete story, because I don't want to do something with only part of it there, which means I'd have to do a revised omnibus with all 4 books in there. So at some point, yes, there will be an omnibus, but after I do the next Dawn series, which I hope to actually start getting that out by the end of this year.
I mean, you're working on it, right? I mean,
yeah. I've been working on it. I've been writing it for years, and this year I'm finally setting time aside to start drawing it and doing the hard work, the hard carpentry of making a comic book.
Well, that's exciting. I mean, so it's been percolating for a while. That's the thing. It's just the timing, but that's good. So when you think you'll actually maybe have something out later this year or early in 2025?
Yes. Yes to both those. Well, there's a Dawn side project, which should definitely be out by the end of this year. And then the actual Dawn 4 series, I hope to have out next year.
Cool.
And I don't know exactly, like the comic market has changed so much. Once upon a time, it would have been a 6-issue series, but with the whole Kickstarter thing and the distribution being so weird, I don't know the right format, what'll be the best way to go.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to figure that out. Which, this Dawn side project is going to be kind of like testing the water to see. Like I've never done a Dawn Kickstarter, and we're going to see how that goes.
Well, it's the way everybody's doing it these days, but yeah, that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Like
there's some PR together for that when the time comes. You and I'll have to do PR for it. I'd love to help you get the word out.
Oh, thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. Yes, I'm going to need all the help I can get. Because I haven't, like, the last Dawn series was Dawn and Vampirella, which I think wrapped up in 2016, maybe 2017. But it's been too long. I need to get my girl out there again.
There you go. Who's Tim Gates want to know who's going to publish the next Dawn story?
I don't know. I have to figure that out too.
All right. Well, there you go, Tim. We don't have an answer yet. Let's see. Bonnie had a question for you. She says, looking forward to meeting you and Christina at Free Comic Book Day. What's your process in collaborating with her? Did she get a say in any of the storylines or what you're creating?
Oh yeah. Christina is my my complete sounding board, my editor, so to speak. Stephen King, in his book on writing, he says every author has something he calls ideal reader, that the one person you worry about their opinion the most whenever you do something. And for Stephen King, it's his wife. He says Tabitha King, nothing goes out with her approval, and it doesn't matter what everybody else says, but if Tabitha doesn't like it, then he's got to get back to the drawing board. And with Christina, she definitely informs everything I do, every drawing I do, I show to her, every story idea, every line of dialogue. And if I show something to Christina and she goes, "Oh, okay, that's nice," I'm like, "Oh, why is it? What's wrong with that?" And I
nice,
have to sometimes
nice is
ask
not
her,
the word you want to hear, right?
Right. Here I spend 40 hours on something. She says, "Oh, that's nice." Like, huh? What am I doing wrong? But actually, most of the time, I don't have to do that. She'll speak right up and say, "Oh, that leg's terrible. Oh, that nose is But what she's actually really good at is she'll say, "That's not Vampirella's face. That's not how you draw Vampirella's face." And I'll say, "Well, I drew it. I drew Vampirella. That's how I draw her face." She's like, "No, you're drawing her face different here." And I'll have to sit back and say, "Oh, what am I doing differently here?" And then I'll realize, "Oh, I do, Vampirella's nose differently. That's not how I do a nose," or whatever the detail is. But she has an excellent eye at zeroing in on the details and keeping me on track.
Well, that's good.
So I guess for me, Christina is definitely my ideal reader.
That's perfect, though. I mean, she's readily available for any advice or editorial, considerations that you may be looking for at the time. I mean, what more can you ask for it, right? At the end of the day, I mean, you get an immediate feedback. So
yes, and we don't agree on everything. Every now and again, she'll say, "Oh, like for example, I just did a new Vampirella #1 cover where Vampirella is, I think, licking blood off her fingers, and Christina thought that was a little vulgar. And I'm like, "Well, she's a vampire. She sucks blood." So we disagreed about that, but I thought it was fine. Where she thought it crossed the line into vulgarity. I mean, it's nothing. I don't think it's vulgar, but again, she's a vampire. What's a vampire to do?
No, well, but it's good. Yeah, we when we do our art sale shows, I always laugh sometimes because my daughters do the slides, and there's certain things they'll put a little black bar over, and other times they won't. And I always wonder, there's some editorial going on in there with my kids when they're making the slides for some of the shows, and I'm not privy to it. I think Maureen, probably, they might ask my wife, like, what do you think, Mom? Do we cover this bit up, or do we leave it, exposed or not? So I don't know. You always gotta have somebody like that to kind of look at it and see, is this fit for mature audiences only, or is it one that can be digested by pretty much anybody? But
well, on that front, I'm actually in a very unique position because Christina was raised by a European mother. Her mother was born in Germany, and my parents, having European roots, they were very open-minded. So I've always had pinup art or like centerfolds hanging up on my walls, and right now in my studio, I have various nudes, either paintings or photographs. And, people have come over and like, wow, your wife lets you put that up? Of course my wife lets me put them up. My wife does, she sees nothing wrong with it.
Right.
And so with your kids, did you ever have any pinup art or anything like that hanging up? Were they ever exposed to that stuff?
Well, I mean, they've seen a lot of the art that I've collected over the years. I can't say that I have a lot of pinup art.
Like say a sexy Adam Hughes piece.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Maureen loves Adam Hughes' work, for instance. He is her favorite artist. And so absolutely, and they've been looking over my shoulder at CAF for 20 years. Right. So they've seen it all. It's more, I guess it's just down to when we're doing like a public live stream or something, they start thinking about, should we show that topless woman or not? So I always do. It's like, when we have that bomber girl image, I mean, that's going to be in the show today. I didn't cover anything up. No, it's all art. So, to you and I, and I think all the art collectors in the chat, art's art, right? I mean, unless there's some level of pornography in it, that we wouldn't even, if it did, we wouldn't even be showing that. I mean, that wouldn't be the kind of art we'd want to have on here. But you can't a topless Frazetta can't be shown at the end of the day. I mean, it's art. It's what a guy's known for, and I don't know. So it's to each their own. But it's cool that Christina at least kind of tried to rein you back on the blood dripping off the fingers and her licking it. And but I get your point too. The thing is, the only one you have to really be concerned about that is, what do the editors and the staff over at Dynamite think about Vampirella licking the blood from her fingertips?
I've actually seen them publish. They've published a couple of things which I thought crossed the line. So I think I'm very dainty compared to a lot of things they publish.
Then there you go. Then keep pushing. Then I'd say, Joe. Let's see here. What do we got? I saw somebody. Chris also wanted to know if you ever had a cast Dawn in a movie. Which actress would play Dawn, or do you not have a selection there?
Somebody asked me that a couple of weeks ago, and I said I'd get a time machine and get Marilyn Monroe. If I was to make a Dawn movie right now, I would probably find an unknown. Because I couldn't think of anybody. Like I'll see little bits of people here and there who like, what's her name? Laurie Cohen, who I think was on The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Did you ever see her on Supernatural?
I did. I hate to say I never watched Supernatural. It's on my list to go back and spend years watching it, because I know it's a long series, but I never saw a single episode.
I've only seen a handful of episodes myself, but like when Laurie Cohen was on The Walking Dead, she was like a farm girl, I believe. So she was very unglamorous, but the character she played on Supernatural was totally glammed up, ton of makeup, beautiful big hair. And I remember watching that saying, wow, that girl has a real Dawn thing about her. So somebody with that essence, I should send you some pictures of what she looked like on Supernatural. She had a certain spark in her eye and a certain smile, which I think Dawn would need. So if I could find somebody like a cross between, I guess maybe her and Christina Hendricks, who's a big voluptuous redhead.
Chris mentioned in 2001, you said Tracy Lord. So there's it probably changes, has to evolve with time, right? I mean, 2001.
Actually, it does. Yeah. Dawn matures. I mean, if Dawn was static, I wouldn't still be drawing her. And she's, the ideal character for me, because new things pop up, new things. I think of new things to explore with her, new stories to put her in. I mean, this upcoming miniseries, there's a lot of new stuff in it, which I'm excited about.
Mm-hmm.
And like I
Ralph,
said, if she was static, I would have stopped drawing her, 20 years ago.
right, right. Well, you've been, that character's been a part of your life for quite some time. If it wasn't fresh, yeah, that would be, you got to keep it fresh.
Yeah, and
She's got to mature with you as well.
yeah, and I mean, it's ironic the way that evolved. You know, she first appeared on the cover of Cry for Dawn #1, and Cry for Dawn was an anthology, and the only requirement was that she'd be on the cover. You know, and it's like, well, what new thing can I didn't want to just draw her standing there looking sexy, holding a skull every cover.
Mm-hmm.
So I started, that got the gears in my pea brain going, and that led to the first Dawn graphic novel. And like the more I do with her, the more new ideas present themselves. And yeah, it all came about very organically, and that's why I've actually taken breaks from it here and there. If I had to say do like a monthly Dawn comic, that would drive me crazy. That I think that would ruin the character. That yeah, that wouldn't work at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, do you remember? I was a fan of the original ElfQuest by Wendy and Richard Pini. That was like a very special thing where they did this one big storyline, which was like 20 issues, and then after that, they were like, well, how do we, what do we do next? And they did a line of ElfQuest comics, which I think ultimately failed. And as a fan, that was just too much. There was nothing mysterious. There was nothing special about it. I didn't want to read, the further adventures, the monthly adventures of the ElfQuest characters. It was too bland, I guess. It meant more to me when it was special, when it was, I think they put out maybe 3 or 4 issues a year, and it was really something to look forward to.
Right. No,
and when they finally wrapped up that first 20 issue storyline, that was like climbing a mountain. That really felt like, wow, there's an epic, there's a fantastic thing. And then after that, it was kind of diluted. So I don't want to dilute what Dawn means to me, what Dawn can be.
Exactly. Well, I think it keeps the fans on their toes, and makes them go back and reread your past work while they look forward to what's coming next. I mean, it's 7 years since they've gotten something new. So this is so it'll be fun. It's something to look forward to later this year, even if it's not the fourth. The continuation of everything, a little something different. But Ralph asked with Dawn 4, will there be painted interiors, or will it be all colored digitally, or is that still part of the planning?
It'll probably look like 3 Tiers. I was very happy with the coloring on 3 Tiers by the time I got to the last issue, and that was a combination of digital and organic, and much like the way I'm doing my covers now.
Okay.
So that's what I mean. If you look at 3 Tiers, the last Dawn graphic novel, or even Dawn of Vampirella, the last couple issues of that I colored myself, and that's what it should look like. And actually, it should look even better than that, because I think I've gotten better digitally, better with using Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
The goal is to have it look as organic as possible, to try to iron out whatever digital bugs there are. And one of the great things about doing all these covers is getting to experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Getting to try new things, and people have told me that they appreciate the more exciting or the more theatrical lighting that I've been putting on a lot of covers, and that is pure playtime, pure experimentation, which I'm going to be bringing more of that into the next Dawn series, and it'll hopefully look more atmospheric and more moody and mysterious, and yeah, I'm geeked. I'm excited.
I'm excited for you, man. That's going to be fantastic. And a couple of the comments here I saw was when we were talking about art on the wall, there was a comment from Scott No that mentioned that he had Linsner and Olivia hanging on the wall for 30 years. Always makes for great conversation when new people visit the house. So that's high praise when you're hanging up next to Olivia work. So
Oh,
that's
indeed. Yeah, I love Olivia's work, and that's probably a good litmus test for the people who come over to your house. Like, am I going to be friends with this person? If they look offended, then there's your answer right there.
exactly. Yeah, no, that's that I can't say that I've had Adam Hughes artwork hanging in the like the main areas of the house. So, but I can't say it ever sparked any conversation when I brought friends over. And then what
Now,
was
was
there?
that because they were already dyed-in-the-wool comic fans, and they?
No, I just think I just don't remember ever sparking any conversation. I don't know. Maybe they just expect it, or maybe they don't look closely enough at it, or something. I don't know. I've never had that experience, except when I bring art collectors over. And we've had a couple of get-togethers where you get them together and everybody's talking about stuff. They'll look at they'll look at everything and enjoy it and appreciate it completely differently than just regular friends coming over here. But I saw this comment from Queen Violet where she said, "Such an honor to see your works so beautiful. I first saw Dreams of Dawn in my local grocery store back in the day, and I've adored your work ever since." Grocery store. I've gotten comics in a lot of places, but I don't remember buying comics at a grocery store. So that's.
I wonder if she means in an issue of Wizard magazine, because Dreams of Dawn was a part of a Wizard promotional.
Now that would make sense then, right?
Yeah,
definitely.
and Wizard mysteriously actually had fantastic penetration into the marketplace. I remember going into like Blockbuster Videos, and they didn't have comic books, but they had Wizard magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember seeing Wizard magazine in supermarkets. So maybe that it was through that.
Yep, and she just confirmed it. It was Wizard.
Here we go.
That makes a whole lot of sense. But here's a question for you from Rob Schiff. He said, "What characters would you like to be drawing monthly?" I mean, are there any characters that you'd want to do a monthly? I'm assuming interiors for a book too. Is there something that you think that character-wise would inspire you enough to want to work that hard on a monthly book?
For sprints, sure. I could do 3 to 6 issues of a bunch of different guys. I still want to do a Batman comic one of these days.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to do something with Thor and Iron Man. Love to do something with the Avengers. I was so jealous a couple of years ago. What was it? Alex Ross put together a series, I think, called Marvels, and he got Dan Brereton to do an issue with the classic brand new X-Men where they still had Sunfire as part of the group.
Yeah.
And boy, I'd love to do something like that. I remember seeing the ads for that. I'm like, I'm so jealous. But yeah, I could have a blast doing something like that. Basically, all the guys I grew up reading. I'd still love to do a Conan comic. I've only done Conan covers. One of these days, I have to do a Conan comic. I want to do a Red Sonja comic. I want to do an Elric comic one of these days.
Elric would be pretty cool. I could see you really getting into that. I mean, the costumes. Wow, yeah, that'd be pretty spectacular.
And Elric is, he's the anti-Conan. Mm-hmm. So, whereas Conan is bold and, very, very positive in his outlook. Elric is internal and all, self-loathing and hatred and dark and moody. And yeah, I would love to play with that. Love to have fun with that. Also, there's the magic element, the sorcery, the demons,
mm-hmm.
all that fun stuff.
Yeah. No, well, but unfortunately, you don't have a lot of time right now. But you have a lot of ideas. So maybe at some point, like when you feel like you have some free time, maybe after Dawn 4, you could like make some pitches to some of the publishers and try to get carve out a little bit of time here or there.
Well, when I did the Claws miniseries for Marvel with Jimmy Palmiotti and Justin Gray, that was kind of like a palate cleanser. I just finished a Dawn book, and it was nice to do something where I, like with Dawn, the whole thing is on my shoulders, but working for Marvel or DC, like with Jimmy also and Amanda Connor, I worked on a couple of issues of Harley Quinn. It was actually fun to just be a collaborator, just be part of a team, and with Jimmy and Amanda, I could not ask for better collaborators, but because they're artists and they know the They know what an artist can do and what an artist can't do. And you'd be surprised how many professional comic book writers have no idea what an artist can and cannot do. It's
Right.
astounding.
Well, you probably didn't know this, but we just announced it the other day that Jimmy Palmiotti is on our board of directors. We just brought him on because Casper and I have great respect for him, and we feel if anybody can advocate for creators, it's Jimmy, right? I mean, he's been in the business for so long, and when we kind of think about the direction we want to take CAF and the in-person shows and virtual shows and all the other things that we're working on, we felt like Jimmy was like the perfect person to kind of have as someone who can help kind of guide us into that area and make sure that we're taking the entire business view of things, not just the collector view, but the creator view and the publisher view. And Jimmy's and Amanda are just a fantastic power couple in comics. And we couldn't be happier.
That's awesome. And I know Jimmy, he's been a publisher, a penciler, an inker, colorist. I don't know if Jimmy's ever been a letterer, but there's probably no facet of the comic business that Jimmy's not familiar with. So he's the man.
Yeah, definitely. We're looking forward to working more with him, but that's cool. I knew you had worked with Jimmy and Amanda in the past. I mean, he's kind of worked with just about everybody, but yeah, no, very awesome. What other questions we got here? So somebody asked if you charge for signatures when you're at shows.
I didn't in the past, or I should say on certain occasions I did. That's something that I need to figure out this year, since I'll be going out there. Usually, signatures are free with a certain amount of like a certain purchase, because I'm actually quite happy that anyone is patronizing my work. That needs to be nailed down this year.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, there's a whole industry wrapped around signatures anymore, and everybody kind of has to have their approach to it. I have no advice. I've never been a signature collector. I mean, I've gotten a few things signed here or there, but it's always been more happenstance. Oh, I happen to be I have a comic in my hand that you worked on. It's not something that I've ever made a point of doing at shows. But yeah, it is. It's a whole new world out there with regards to signings, and are you getting it graded and all that other kind of stuff. And
but I do know this on Free Comic Book Day. I think everybody there, me, Adam, Terry, and the other artists, I think everybody's going to be signing for free. And I'm pretty sure Adam is not going to be doing any drawings. I don't know about Terry. I'll be doing little doodles, and as well as Christina will be doing doodles. I usually do little ballpoint pen head sketches for free on Free Comic Book Day. So yeah, bring your stuff to Battlegrounds in Dalton, Georgia, and if you can get there, we'll sign it up.
Well, hopefully the weather's good, and people, if they have to wait in line outside, they've got good weather at least. But yeah, that'll be. I say Condi's asking about upcoming. We actually listed a few of the shows that Joe's going to. He's got Heroes in Baltimore, Tucson, and a few others that we couldn't remember. Condi 5150. But so he's getting out a little bit this year, unlike last year. Bonnie sure says yes. 2 personal items will be allowed to be signed, I guess, at the Free Comic Book Day. So let's see. Anything else here? I saw just a nice comment from Dawn Stokes said, "Your artwork made me a comic book fan. I can't wait to see what you created." That's cool. We do have 31 pieces of art to look at today, and so we probably should get started with the art sale side, because I know we're going to talk a lot about the art while we're looking at it. We always do.
Sure.
It's so much fun to see what you bring and then to talk about it. Why don't I go? I'll give everybody the kind of ground rules on things. And just so you know, I don't have the artwork in hand. The way Joe and I typically work is we wait a couple days after the show to see what sells, and then Joe sends me a package with all the artwork that's been claimed and has been paid for, and then I ship it out. So I typically have the art by mid to late week coming up here, and I start turning things around about a week from today. So that's how Joe and I have always done it. Works really well for us. Once I get the art, if you claim any artwork today, what I want you to do is to shoot me an email, bill@comicartfans.com. Let me know which lots you've claimed. And when you do that, send me your mailing address. It just makes it a lot easier. I'll be able to work out, what the shipping is, and get an invoice out to you right away. We prefer that all things are paid for within 48 hours. We like Zelle. We like Venmo. I'll take a personal check in the mail if you drop it in the mail by Monday. We like to avoid having any fees on any of the art sales that we do. If we do need to use PayPal, I do charge 4% as a service fee for US and 5.5% for international. When we're looking at the slides today, because I can tell we have a lot of new viewers, every slide has its own lot number on it. So everything's numbered lot 1 through 31. When you see a lot that you want to claim, type claim, the word claim, and the lot number in the chat, and the first person who's gets their claim in gets the piece. So don't just type claim. You always got to type claim 1 if you want to get lot 1, for instance. Yeah, because it gets a little crazy every now and again, and some people just type claim, and then it's like you don't know if you're live or not. And speaking of being live, there's another bit of advice for everyone. If you're watching on YouTube, and I think most people are, we have 152 people watching right now. In the lower left-hand corner of the screen is the word live. If you click that, that's going to make you as live as possible, because there's always a delay in streaming. Joe and I are always going to be 4 or 5 seconds ahead of everybody else. But you in the audience, depending on when you joined YouTube and whether there was any buffering in the stream, you could be 5 or 6 seconds behind other people in the chat, which gives you a distinct disadvantage to everybody else when you're trying to claim a piece of artwork. So clicking that live link helps, or if you're on your desktop computer, just refresh the screen, and we're still talking about how we're handling the sale, so you won't be missing anything out on anything. But that's the best way to get yourself as live as everybody else who's trying to get artwork today. And as far as shipping goes, the prices on the artwork that we're showing don't include shipping. Obviously, you can combine on shipping if you buy multiple lots. US shipping is $30 and international $65. I ship everything in Masonite, so very, very, very well protected. And I like to take care of everybody. I hope everybody, when they get these nice Masonite packages, that you don't throw it out, reuse them. If you ever sell artwork, Masonite is definitely the best way to pack your artwork. When you're shipping like 1 or 2 pieces. I know, Joe, like typically I'll get a nice big box from you. It's all nicely packed, but when you're shipping 1 piece at a time, Masonite's really good. And so I sincerely hope my Masonite gets reused, because it's not cheap to ship with Masonite. So I guess if we don't see any other questions in the audience, we can just kind of get this thing started. Let's see here. So, all right, well, we'll go ahead. So remember, lot numbers are on each slide, and any questions, just let us know. Claim in the chat. So first up, we have a red Sonia. Now this one's on 11 by 14, priced at $500. So what was this one done for? Because it is dated 2020.
Yeah, this was done to be sold at a show, and I ended up holding on to it. And I actually did a version of this for an actual red Sonia cover, which has a different background. But yeah, the plan was to send this out there, and for some reason it just ended up on the shelf for a couple of years.
Well, that's good. And Philip Quattrone has claimed this one, but 4 years. So it just sat. You've just had it around and just found it and added it to our sale today. I appreciate that, Joe. As does Philip.
Yeah, it's a nice piece. Yeah, the finished cover that I turned this into was actually, I believe, auctioned off by William Shanes. I forget during the COVID lockdown, he was trying to generate funds to help comic book stores in need, and I forget the name of the organization he started up, but he still plans on doing something with that, helping out comic stores. But yeah, the other version, the more rendered version with the full background and everything, yeah, they went to a good cause.
Awesome. Well, that's a beautiful piece, and I'm quite certain that Philip is going to be very happy to get that one. And most of the pieces are 11 by 17 today, but I've made sure to put the dimensions on every slide that we're showing, because I think there's maybe 6 pieces that were 11 by 14, that being one of them. Lot number 2 is also 11 by 14, and that is this Sinful Suzi piece, and it is priced $700. And she's Beautiful. This looks like one of those pieces that you made in 2023 and then ended up not getting out to any shows, but we get the pleasure of offering it to everyone today. And Matt Tutulio's claimed this one pretty quickly. Congrats, Matt.
Very nice. Yeah, I love Suzi. I plan on doing more work with her too.
Yeah, no, this is beautiful. When I was going through, I was looking at a lot of your artwork, and yeah, you draw her very, very attractively for a girl with blue hair and horns. She is a looker. And I had to thank Matt. I saw he gave us a little $10 tip where he said Masonite, the gift that keeps on giving, the true unsung hero of our hobby. That is true, Matt. I have reused a lot of Masonite myself, so I'm glad to hear that you feel the exact same way. VKG is asking how many pieces are there today. We have 31 pieces of art today, and I'm going price low to high, everybody, just so you know. I decided when I was once I got the price list from Joe, it was easier than trying to group like the Red Sonja pieces together and then Dawn pieces and whatnot. I just felt like, all right, I'm just going to go low to high on the prices. So we do have 31 pieces of art, most published, and yeah, they're all very, very nice. So nice start there. Thank you, Matt. We'll take a look at lot number 3 next. Now this is interesting. I was almost going to talk about Jack Katz leading into this, but I figured I'd wait till we get to the art, which we can now. So you were talking about ElfQuest. You know, it's self-published stuff. First Kingdom, of course, was a kind of one of the most earliest kind of you know, outside of underground comics, you know, like something that was trying to become a little mainstream, somebody doing their own kind of thing. Jack Katz doing First Kingdom. The funny thing was when it was on the shelves, I never read it, but I love the artwork, the ad images that they used for First Kingdom. Those were always just so cool. You know, I mean, it looked, because it was so anti-mainstream, right? The way he would draw those figures. And I'm sure you must have felt the same way.
Oh yeah, I remember on the back cover of Savage Sword of Conan, they always had the Bud Plant ads, which had, you know, the advertisements for the First Kingdom. And if I remember correctly, Jack Katz had been someone who'd worked a lot in the comic industry. I don't know if he ever worked for Marvel or DC, but I think he worked for Dell and Gold Key and these other, you know, comic companies. And then in the 70s, he finally decided to put that aside and work on his dream project, which was the First Kingdom. And I think was that 24 self-published issues? I know it was a huge epic.
It was 24, yeah, and I think he did a little bit of work for Marvel and DC, but like DC, it was romance, a couple books, and I think maybe with Marvel it might have been a couple war books. So he never really did any, you know, like superhero work per se. But like you said, he had his mindset on doing his own thing, and yeah, I mean, it was like one of those first books that just caught your eye as being like, wow, people are, you know, can do independent work and it can actually get recognized.
Yeah, and that book, the what's it, the Unseen Jack Katz. I believe Liam Sharp, who is a big Jack Katz fan, he was getting different artists to ink different pages for that book, and I asked Liam if I could contribute, and he's like, "Hey, would you like to work on the cover?" And I was like, "Oh wow, that'd be great." And so yeah, this was penciled by Jack Katz, and then I lightboxed it, and then I rendered it on top of, you know, the lightboxing. So yeah, you can see here how different the original is versus the published cover, and that is what I was talking about with adding, you know, atmospheric elements in Photoshop.
The lighting, yeah. No, well, this is a good one, and you're right. I remember Liam Sharp, and I think this might have, I think even Morger might have had a little hand in with the publishing on this as well.
Yeah, I believe the official name on it is a Big Wow production, which is Steve's company.
Yep. Yeah. Well, this piece is still available. This is lot 3, so it was covered to the Unseen Jack Katz that came out in 2021. And priced very reasonably at $700. And Stephen Garza, yes, Joe will be at HeroesCon this year, so you'll get to see him there. So we'll go ahead and take a look at lot number 4, and this is a beauty, Dawn with a halo necklace, priced $900 on 11 by 14, done in 2023. And wow, You know, everybody wants a Dawn, right? This is a very beautiful one. You even get a little kind of Kirby crackle in the background, Joe.
Yeah, the Kirby crackle. It's tough to resist. I've been adding that here and there on certain pieces.
As well, you should. But yeah, this is gorgeous. And Joe Maggio got their claim in just before Matt W. and Gabe Carino. So Joe, congrats on that one. Very nice pickup. And yeah, and Marcus Y even tried to get a claim in, and Alberto. Yes. Well, everybody, make sure you hit that live button so you can get yourself as live as everyone else in the chat, and that way you'll have a chance to get another piece, because we do actually have. I think we have another Dawn piece in here as well, but this one's gorgeous. I mean, you handle color so well, Joe, and the female form. You mix the two together, and you always end up with a beautiful piece of art. So.
Thank you, Bill.
It's I love seeing it, and I do own a couple pieces by you. But the thing is, you know, the great stuff. You know, for me, you're one of those guys. I could own 20 pieces, and I'd still want to own 20 more, because it's. And I'm not saying that because I'm doing a sales show with you. It's just I've always loved your work, man. You know, you do great work. You're one of the nicest guys in the hobby, and just not for any negative reason, I can be one and done with. You know, I can have one great example from that artist. But for you, man, and maybe it's in part because I can't get published interiors. Because if I had a good published interior by Dave Cockrum, I could probably stop. Right? It's like, this stuff's kind of expensive now. But with you, Joe, I can't get that one expensive piece. So so those $800, $1,200 pieces, I could own like 3 or 4 of them and still feel like I could own more. And I don't know why
that's cool.
So maybe you should hold on to those Dawn pieces for longer. You're gonna keep the audience hungry for more.
Well, I mentioned earlier that Dawn is ever evolving, and I think on this piece I put more purple in her hair than I may have ever done before. The one that just sold, the halo necklace, and I'm constantly trying new things. So maybe that's part of what you just said, that you could have multiple pieces.
Yeah.
I know I've had people talk to me about different eras of my art, and sometimes Dawn has been skinnier, sometimes she's been more voluptuous. Someone told me in the early 2000s, Dawn went through a chunky butt phase, which is how he described it. I was like, that just stuck with me. Like, yes, Dawn's chunky butt phase. Picasso had his blue period, and Dawn has had her chunky butt phase.
Wow. I can't wait to see what the next, Joe Linsner, art book's going to have in it when we read that one. And you're overdue for one of those too. I think it's been a while, right?
I am definitely. I think I did Girls and Goddesses, which was a collection of pinup art that came out in 2007, 2008. And before that, The Art of Joe Linsner, I think, came out in 2002. So yeah, it's 20 years. It's I've got a big mound of paintings I gotta formalize by putting into my next art book.
I'd like to see that. I've got the Gods and Goddesses behind me, but I could always use another newer one. Go. Goose says the chunky butt phase was greater than Picasso's blue period. All right.
I think so too.
Yeah. All right, well, let's take a look at the next one here. So here's lot number 5. We've got, and this is, I think, our last Dawn here too. It's Dawn with white roses on this one, and it's on 11x14, priced at $1,000. No purple in her hair on this one, but again, just beautifully rendered, and the roses are a really nice touch.
Yeah, Dawn has her motifs that I constantly return to.
And I know there were a lot of claims that flew through there, but Michael Gunter got theirs in before Philip, Justin, Matthew, and Jeffrey. So, Michael, thank you so much. You got a beautiful.
Thank you, Michael.
All right, and
that's nice one. I like her.
Yeah. No, I mean, this came out really, really nice, and again, it's beautiful. So, and again, I know we got some new buyers here. So when the show's over, anybody who hasn't claimed things on the show before, you'll be emailing me, Bill@comicartfans.com, And you let me know what lots you picked up and include your mailing address when you do that, and we'll take care of everything after the show. But congrats to Michael on that one. It's beautiful. Lot number 6 is next, and this is I think the only true topless piece of the afternoon. This is Nose Girl art, appropriately titled. I remember there was some collectors out there that used to collect Nose Girl art. This one's on 11x14, priced at $1,000. Done for fun, I assume.
Yeah. I've always loved classic, the Nose Girl, the nose art that you would see on like a B-42, B-52 bomber. Getting confused there, and that's something I've always wanted to do a series of, because you could have so much fun with it. The absurd irony of a naked girl on a bomb. Why not?
Well, you had to inspire the pilots somehow. So, painting a beautiful, sometimes topless woman on the side of your bomber was one way to give you inspiration. I don't know if this instilled fear in the hearts of those you were dropping the bombs on, but if it kept the opposing military just staring at something like this while the bombs were dropping, I mean, at least they had something nice to look at on their way out the door. But
you know what? That right there is something I've never thought about. I as far as I know, the nose art phenomenon is purely American. I don't think any other military ever did that. So I really wonder, like, what did the Nazis, what did like the members of the Luftwaffe think of the Americans painting sexy girls on their planes? Did they think it was insane? Did they think it was crazy? Like, oh, these Americans,
amateur.
What did the Japanese think of that?
They were probably insulted. It probably, at the end of the day, I mean, they're probably just thinking, what?
Right. Here we're putting our lives on the line, and you got this naked girl coming at us, shooting.
Yes, T-Tad says, it's an American thing. I don't know. I would have to think that they were ashamed of us and would have loved to have shot that bomber out of the sky. So that one wasn't.
Like, do you remember in Steven Spielberg's 1941?
Mm-hmm.
In the very beginning, there's the girl swimming, and it's like a parody of Jaws. The girl naked, and the submarine comes up, and she's on the periscope.
Yes.
And one of the Japanese guys sees her up on the periscope, and he goes, "Hollywood, Hollywood."
That's right. God, I gotta watch that again. That was such a good movie. I haven't seen that in probably 15 years, man. That's
a funny movie.
That is a classic scene. All right, I'm gonna have to cue that one up. Making a note there. All right, and I saw Michael Wigan ask about stuff published, unpublished. We have published work coming up. In fact, this next piece is actually published in its own way. So let me go ahead and show this one. This is this on 11x14 as well, priced at $1,000. Lot number 7, Tura Santana from Faster Pussycat, Kill Kill Kill. This was used as a box art.
Yeah, and actually, if I could correct you, Bill, it's actually Satana.
Oh, Satana.
Not Santan.
Oh my gosh! I am so sorry.
That's okay.
My typing skills can sometimes be okay. Well, at least it's right on the box, for crying out loud.
Yeah, this I'm a big fan of the old Mego action figures, which they've been making new Megos, new 8-inch figures, and the guys at Odeon Toys, they reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested in doing Tora Satana, and I'm a big fan of Faster Pussycat, Kill Kill. It's one of my favorite movies. So yeah, this was a thrill. I love doing this.
Yeah, I'm just reading the chat. Slide error. Everybody has to take a drink. She comes with a kung fu grip. Yeah, it does look like it. Yes. So yes, my apologies. Hopefully this probably won't be my last typo on slides today, but yeah, so this was fun. And like you say, I mean, how often you get to do box art for a figure like this, right?
I'd like to do more, actually. The guys at Odeon were fantastic. I was dealing with Brian Haler, who runs Plaid Stallions. I don't know if you've seen that website.
No.
Plaid Stallions, it celebrates all kinds of weird memorabilia from the 70s. And he also has a YouTube channel, I think, called Toy Ventures, that is all about weird, 70s toys. Lots of fun, lots of good stuff.
Cool. Well, I've written that down. I'm going to check out their store. I mean, who doesn't love toys from that era? So we got lot 7 still available. We'll take a look at lot number 8. This is also an unpublished piece, but it is on 11 by 17, and it's magic, and it's priced at $1,200, and it's fantastic, man. I mean, what inspired you to draw the figure magic?
I always thought she was a lot of fun visually, and the whole jumbo sword thing. How could you not have fun with that?
Right.
And I was reading the X-Men going back literally to Giant Size X-Men #1. So to see the evolution of the character, from Peter Rasputin's little sister to Magic, being this very colorful, very strong visual dynamics on her. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with this.
Well, yeah, the costume's great, and always anyway. And then so this is like a really good figure for you to tackle. And as an X fan myself, you can do any X characters you like anytime, Joe. They will always be in demand. So I saw James Siegel got his claim in first ahead of Jerry Bourne and Greg Hodgson. So congrats to James on that one. And you get the Kirby Crackle on this one as well, whether you wanted it or not. But it adds a little bit to it. And it was on 11 by 17 too, so that makes it all the better.
Yeah, that's a bigger one.
Yeah. So let's see. We got lot number 9 next on 11 by 17. This was like an interior kind of pinup for that comics for Ukraine. I think they came out a few years ago, and it might have been a crowdfunded project, I think.
Scott Dunbier of IDW got together a benefit book to help the poor people of the Ukraine. And as far as I know, I don't know the figures, but this book was very successful. I know he had everyone from Joe Jusko, Bill Sienkiewicz, Alex Ross, Dave Johnson, Billy Tucci. A ton of great artists did a lot of great work to, help raise funds for a worthy cause. And I was able to do a pinup. God, I think Billy Tucci actually did a whole like a Rocketeer story, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think there were a couple stories within it as well. It's been a while since I had the book, but yeah.
Yeah, Howard Chaykin did a story. Who else? Like I said, lots of top shelf talent, and this was my small contribution.
Well, it's beautiful, well lit. I love the fact that half of the figures in shadow. I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of things you were thinking about while you're working on this piece, but it's beautiful.
Thank you, Bill. And that's their national colors, the blue and the gold.
Mm-hmm.
So they're nice contrasty colors. So that just as soon as I sat down and said, okay, what am I going to do? This instantly popped into my head.
Well, it's
and there's a famous statue of an angel, I think, called the Angel of Kiev, which inspired this.
Oh, it's lovely. It's available. It's lot 9, priced at $1,200 on 11 by 17. And so what James mentioned, Rob Gilroy did a Chew story for that book too. So yeah, I think there were several people contributed stuff to it. So congrats to Dunbier for pulling that together. Let's see here, lot number 10 next. So I think we're moving into the most things I think are published here on out. Everything, as a matter of fact. So lot number 10. This is the cover to Jennifer Blood number 7 on 11 by 17, priced at $1,200. And you can see the, I think with most of these pieces that I'm going to show from here on out, I'll have the published piece along with it. So you can see how Joe tackled handling the backgrounds, which typically, in most cases, are going to be done digitally, but focus on the traditional with the main character and, some of the elements in a lot of these pieces. So yeah, Jennifer Blood, got a little blood on the wall in here. And then so again, this was the cover to issue 7.
Yeah, I've done, I think, covers for 2 different Jennifer Blood miniseries. And she's a lot of fun. How could I not have fun with a girl with spray-on clothes and a gun?
Yeah, that is so true. I think many of us could say that. Yeah. what is this? Nick invented the gun. What did Nick Barucci invent? I can't believe this. Nick invented this cover. Nick invented the idea of covers. He invented Linsner. No, he did not. Nick invented girls. Where's Nick Barucci to defend himself in the chat? But we're all very grateful that Nick keeps you busy, Joe. That's the thing. I mean, I think it's wonderful that you get to do so many covers for Dynamite across so many different titles, whether it's Vampirella, Red Sonja. I mean, you get to touch a lot of different properties that are just right up your alley, and so we can all give Nick a pat on the back when we see him for employing you as much as he does, because we get such great work from it.
Well, Nick is fantastic to work for. His editors, Joe Rybrandt and Matt Idelson, they're wonderful. They have a lot of faith in me, and coming from self-publishing, I'm used to being my own art director, and I can't count the number of times I've worked with an editor who had good intentions, but ultimately, I think I had better ideas than they had, and the end result was not that great because they didn't listen to me. Damn it! But yeah, at Dynamite, they give me lots of respect and lots of freedom, awesome. Which is good for a guy like me.
Well, you know what your strengths are. So if the people you're working with don't, you might as well just it's good that with them you get to kind of do what you feel works best, and they appreciate that. And I guess this invented thing is something I missed last night on Nick's show. So Nick must have taken credit for something that he didn't invent, but everybody thinks was a fun thing. So this one's still available, lot 10. We can take a look at lot 11 next. This is what is it? The cover to issue 7 from Sony-Versal. This is priced at $1,200. Got a couple cleavers in hand here, a skull with with a yeah, that's
with an Afro pick. Yeah,
yes, that is. I don't think I've seen death by that method ever, but I love it. So this is nice, and again, you can see the published version of the cover to the left there. You get you have a brick wall kind of worked background in there with the lighting you were talking about earlier that you've been playing around with. So so this one's priced at $1,200, and a lot of fun, a little bit of blood.
Yeah, with the Sony-Versal series, that was an anthology series where every issue would focus on a different facet of what Red Sonja could be, or what different personages Red Sonja could manifest in. And on the covers, they just gave me freedom to go crazy and just come up with variations. And I had so much fun on that series that I wish I could do again. And a couple of years ago, there was talk of an African American actress playing Red Sonja, and this was actually done before that. I had certain people saying, "Oh, is this you doing the African American Red Sonja?" I was like, "No, mine came first. Mine came before that concept came up." And I think that fell through. And who knows if a Red Sonja movie is ever going to happen, or I should say, another Red Sonja movie is ever going to happen. But yeah, I like this girl. I like her.
Yeah, it came out very nice. So we have so it's $1,200 on lot 11, and now this next character I'm not familiar with, but lot number 12, Devil Jack cover, priced at $1,200 as well. I mean, that's one dynamic costume. I mean, from the skin tight, like painted on costume, like you mentioned earlier. I mean, it's slick, man. The thing is, I mean, the color wise, wow. I mean, this isn't Red Sonja,
Yeah, Devil Jack is the creation of Tim Tyler, who his work was very similar to Tim Vigil's, maybe a little more cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd actually been self-publishing comic books in one form or another since the 90s. And he was part of the whole Razor, the Everett Hartsoe crowd. And he reached out to me in 2020, and asked if I would do a cover for him. And I was actually thought the costume on Devil Jack was really cool. She uses the classic 70s Captain Marvel colors.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the red bodysuit with the blue accents.
Huh. No, it's all. I mean, I think it's a beautiful piece. Galaxy Comics Agnes says literally never saw this cover. I hadn't either, but very nicely done. And on this one, the background. I mean, the car obviously done digitally. Those kind of demon figures to the left and right. Were those done digitally too, or did 100%, or did you do some kind of preliminary work before that, or?
Those were done on paper, and then I manipulated them digitally.
Okay.
And with a lot of the stuff I do in Photoshop, it's more compositing than actually creating things in Photoshop. I know some people do that, but yeah, I'll do various chunks, I should say, and then just composite them in Photoshop. Like, for example, the other the Sony Universal that had the brick wall in the background. I actually drew a brick wall on a separate piece of paper and composited that in there. And something I've always hated, which certain lazy people do in Photoshop, is they'll stick a photograph in the background, and that doesn't look right to my eye. My eye trips over that. Like if somebody takes a photograph of a sunset or something and just sticks it behind a drawing, the schism between the drawing and a photograph never looks right to me. So I'd rather have a drawing of a sunset, behind a drawing. That is more harmonious to me.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I mean, it's beautiful. That's why when I was looking at it, it feels like it was hand drawn. Those two demons. So that makes sense, and it does all work really well. Even with the car being a little bit more graphic, the lighting on it works, and it fits. Nothing looks out of place. So this one's still available. Lot 12, $1,200, and let's see here. Go over to lot 13 next, and we're going to go back to a couple Jennifer Bloods in a row here. This is the cover to Jennifer Blood #1, an 11 by 17, priced at $1,500, and yeah, that's as skin tight as you can get, man. But yeah, you got it. If you're we wouldn't have it any other way. So it turned out nice, and the skulls too. Again, those kind of they feel hand drawn. So I assume maybe you kind of rough something out in pencil for those as well.
Yes, yeah, those were again drawn on a separate piece of paper. And one of the beautiful things about working in Photoshop is you can move things around. So to try to get the skulls in just the exact right position. It was easier to do that digitally than to, fuss around with it on the actual page.
Makes sense. Now, if you found any of the skull scribbles, would you throw those into the package when they get shipped, or do you think those get, or do those not get saved typically in your production process? Out of curiosity, I saw Jeffrey C said, "Is the background art extra?" as a question.
No, on this one, the skulls are definitely part of it, so that's part of the package.
Okay. Well, there you go. I mean, so yeah, I guess I'll try to remember to ask. So like on that last piece where it had like the demon head in profile, do you think that there's a pencil piece still around for that one?
Yeah, that would get thrown in too. I should have said something earlier about that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, that's good to know. No, I mean, I'll be sure to ask from now on when maybe an extra piece exists. So there you go. So you get the skulls. At least a few of them as separate pieces, and this is lot 13, Jennifer Blood #1. I saw Alberto scream #1 cover. Yeah, you only get one of those ever. This is
my very first Jennifer Blood.
So let's see, lot 14 is the cover to Jennifer Blood 5, and this one is priced at $1,500. You get the skull with the smoking bullet hole right through the center of that, and the mandible falling off. Yeah. What kind of art direction you get for some of these? Do they just say, give me a strong pose with whatever you want to do, or how do they approach giving you some direction on these?
Jennifer Blood is actually very open. The covers need to be done so far in advance, usually for advertising purposes, that just something more atmospheric than story specific. Sometimes, like I have a Red Sonja cover coming up, which is very story specific, and I'll do that whenever possible. But with the Jennifer Blood covers, it was mostly just atmospheric. Just have her look cool and have her look cool, sexy, and threatening, which is always fun.
3 traits I love in a woman: cool, sexy, and threatening. And that's we get this here. And I'll highlight it one more time. Ernesto Espinoza claimed this one. Thank you very much, Ernesto.
Very nice.
We both appreciate that. Thank you. All right, so we'll take a look at lot number 15 next. So changing characters here. This is from Dynamite Lives, number 3. The cover to that issue. Now, of course, as you can see, the cover to the issue looks a little different than the finished piece. We've got hair on Vampirella in your drawing, and the cover had no hair. So help me, understand this one.
I'm not a fan of bald women. So from the get-go, when they asked me to do these covers, I knew I was going to go in and add her hair, which I guess for a purist, they wouldn't appreciate that. But again, from the very beginning, I knew I was going to go and add hair. And without the hair, she looks kind of like Moondragon from the Avengers.
Very true.
Or what's her name? Persis Kimbata from the first Star Trek film.
That too, yes. Yeah. Well, no, I think it was a wise choice to put the hair back on her. Now, so in this case, the fence is there. That's like the one element that, but that could have been done digitally. Did you do that digitally, or did you draw something like that?
Actually, the fence was added digitally because, I wanted to balance things between the clouds and the headless zombie guy. And I didn't want the clouds to conflict with the fence. And I on the original, the moon ended up not being as part of the cover because I went with a more cloudy sky. But the moon's on the original.
Well, it is very, very nice. So this is lot 15, Dynamite Lives, number 3. Cover to that, priced at $2,000. Alberto says, let's face it, is anyone really looking at the hair? Question mark. Probably not. Probably not. You wonder what she sees in that poor dead zombie head there. But a very nice cover. Let's see. Next up, lot 16. Switching over to some Red Sonja here. This is the cover to Red Sonja number 9. Skulls. See on this one here, we've got this is a very finished piece, really. I mean, outside of the sky, you've even got the clouds in here done traditionally, along with the landscape in front of her as well. So choices. I mean, sometimes it just feels right to do certain elements within the piece fully traditional.
Yeah, and this one, covers come to me in a couple of different ways. Sometimes it's just a soft focus image that I have to then sculpt into something tighter, and then other times I get a flashbulb image of a very complete picture. And this one, like, boom, like the very moment I thought of it, her posture, the dock, the skulls, the book, the dagger, the chalice, it all instantly popped into my head. And that's why I wanted all those elements there, primarily because I already knew where they were going to be on the cover. I knew exactly how it was supposed to look. Yeah, I'm proud of this one.
Yeah, it came out really nice. I agree. So this is priced $2,000, cover to Red Sonja 9, 11 by 17. I saw somebody who came in late. We are not at the recap yet. We're still we're going through. We've got 31 lots to look at, so we just passed the halfway mark here with lot 16. And I know somebody else asked a question about the the medium that Joe typically works in. I mean, those alcohol-based Copic markers and a few other things, colored pencil, airbrush. I saw that was a question from Ben. I don't mean to answer the question for you, but I'm answering it for you, Joe. Unless I forgot something.
Well, you're right on the money. The figure is Copic marker with bits of acrylic and different accents added with either dark brown or black colored pencil or white colored pencil, and like say the extreme highlights on her armor. That's definitely added with acrylic paint. Yeah, the way I color, like say her armor, I put down either a gray or a purple first, and then I'll pick out the highlights. So it isn't like certain people like to leave the white areas there and let the white of the paper show through for that, and I'll do that sometimes, I guess. But yeah, for something delicate like the armor, I'd probably still be there working away on it if I had to leave the white areas shining through. It's actually easier, and for me, there's greater density of the color when I just like put a blanket of color down and then pick out the highlights.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any kind of sense.
It does. No, it definitely does.
And I know when I look back on my older stuff, something I was guilty of was making everything shiny. I used to put highlights on everything. And when you put highlights on everything, nothing pops out. So as I've gotten older, I actually have been pulling further and further back and putting highlights on less and less stuff. And I guess the focus of this piece is her rear end, because that has the
that does have the
sharpest highlights.
Yes, that and the edge of her breast. But did I say that? All right, my wife's not watching the show today. But, yes, very, very. No, that's good. I'm glad we got to go through this again on this piece, because there's a lot of different techniques going on in it. But this one's still available, lot 16, $2,000, and we're going to stick with Red Sonja and covers here for a little while. This next one is from Immortal Red Sonja issue 4, the cover to that one. We got a good beheading on here. Anthony Snyder would be happy to see this piece of art because he loves a good beheading. This is priced at $2,300, and that is a clean cut right there. I mean, yeah, it was. I mean, and this is like the millisecond after the cut too, so there's hardly any blood coming out, but very nicely done. This is from 2022.
Yeah, I with Red Sonja, I'll go back and forth between doing a glamour shot or an after the battle shot, and I like to do action shots as well, and batter up. Yeah,
yes.
As I've said before, my hero is Frazetta, and with his own stuff, if you look at his Conan covers, the most famous of them all is probably the Barbarian, where Conan is standing there post-battle, looking, as tough and mean as possible. And then he's got other pieces like the Frost Giants, where Conan's whacking the guy in the snow. And yeah, I like to do the same thing, go back and forth.
Yeah, well, that's a home run swing for sure. But oh, very, very well done. And so this one's available, $2,300, lot 17, and the cover to Immortal Red Sonja 4. Then we have this is the cover to issue 4 to Red Sonja Empire of the Damned, priced at $2,300, and it is also on 11 by 17. And interesting creature in this one.
Yeah, with this, I said, there was a cover coming up which was story specific. They already had the pencils for the interior, and this character turns into, he sheds his robe and he turns into some giant scary slug type guy. So yeah, I was able to incorporate that on the cover, which yeah, that was a lot of fun. I had so much fun doing the texture on that creepy guy.
And you did all the other colors too, right? On the published cover, I assume. So the trees in the background, and it looks like maybe you changed the color a little bit of the base of the creature, or maybe a little.
Yeah, I just made that a little warmer on the final cover and just darkened him up a bit. But I think on the finished cover I probably went overboard with the shadows, because looking at it now, I like all the detail you can see on the original.
Right.
All the texture. Excuse me, all the textures on there.
And this is a recent piece. It's dated 2024. So this.
Oh yeah, I did this last month, I think. Yeah. Which yeah, I like this one. I like this one a lot.
The salary otaku said, "Love how you displayed the muscles of her body. Look at that forearm. I need to hit the gym today." So you're just reminding people that they are grossly out of shape and need to get spend some time in the gym to get up to Red Sonja's prowess here, because yeah, she's pretty toned.
Well, part of the fun of drawing Red Sonja is drawing someone who is actually very different from Dawn in her body type. Dawn is fit, but I would never, give Dawn the same type of musculature. And Red Sonja, it makes sense. She would be very buff. She would, have a far less fat on her body, and so you'd see greater definition in her ribs and in her forearm and stuff.
Well, it came out incredibly well, and yeah, it makes me feel like I should probably work out after the show is over myself. Let's see here. Another Red Sonja, lot number 19, priced at $2,300 again. This is the cover to issue 11, and it is on 11 by 17 as well. So always got a skull next to her. I mean, I think that that's just part of the symbolism that we need to have with her, to let everybody know that she doesn't mess around. Don't ask
she
her
means
out.
business.
Yeah, don't ask her if she wants a drink. Just keep it. Yeah. The answer will usually be no, and followed by a beheading or something worse. So yeah, this is nice. I mean, and the little touches you had in there, the little notches on the arm of the chair. That's fun.
Yeah, I have fun with that stuff. Just texture. Just making it more interesting. Yeah, and this series was written by Mirka Andolfo, I believe is how you pronounce her name. She's an Italian writer and artist, and yeah, this series started off as kind of had kind of like I guess a lone wolf and cub thing, where Red Sonja had this little girl as a sidekick, and she had a protector, much like the Mandalorian, I guess. And yeah, this was a lot of fun. Mirka designed the costume, her like bodysuit, which went under her armor, which is nice actually to break things up with Red Sonja. She can't just be wearing her chainmail bikini all the time.
No, she can't. Yeah, T-Tad said the skull is there to remind you that her collection of skulls is open for new additions. Yep.
Just waiting for volunteers.
Yes. But on this piece, nice, because it's very finished. You got the brick wall all drawn on it behind there. I mean, colored a little bit differently, but putting out and all that structure there just makes the piece feel even a little bit more complete. So very nice piece. And this one is available at $2,300 for lot 19. Then, still continuing with some Red Sonja, we've got the cover to Empire of the Dam number 2, priced at $2,300 as well. And yeah, just a very, very nice pose here. She's getting ready to take the heads off these two guys, I have a feeling, but nicely done. I mean, now when you're kind of pulling this all together, I mean, do you already know that you've got the two figures that you're going to include in the background, or do you get the pose down first that you want and then kind of figure out how how you want to treat the background afterwards? What kind of prelim work do you do for something like this?
Well, with this one, they also had the pencils done beforehand, and in the story, she fights these two, like I guess 12-foot tall giants, and yeah, I wanted to capture that moment. She's whirling around, ready to do some business. And I guess the first spark of the idea was her whirling around and drawing her sword at the same time. And if I went for a purely realistic image, she would be facing the other guys, facing the two guys she's about to kill. She wouldn't turn around to look sexy for us. But hey, it's a comic cover, and we can play with the dramatics of it a little bit. And also on this series, they gave Red Sonja a different outfit, which was fun to draw. And
Yeah.
I wonder, what people are going to think of this outfit. But again, they on this series, a lot of it was done beforehand, so they were able to show me pages and show me, here's her outfit, and these are the guys she faces, and so on and so forth.
Very nice. Let's see here. I'm sorry, I'm looking at I saw Marcelo Mata came in and wanted to claim lot 3 if it hasn't been claimed yet, and it has not been claimed yet. So, Marcelo, you've got that one. Lot 3 was the Jack Katz tribute piece. So
very nice.
Yeah, that's a good one, and a published cover, no less. So thank you, Marcelo. What other comment did I see? Oh, Chris the Chick mentioned that Joe needs to do a Power Girl variant cover. I guess seeing all these beautiful women with beautiful physiques. What do you say to that, Joe?
Hey, sign me up. I love drawing Power Girl. I've drawn her a bunch. Never on a cover, never formally. But heck, if somebody at DC, or if I'm available for variant covers for different stores if they do their own variants. Yeah, they can reach out to me, and I'd love to. I'd love to do a Power Girl cover.
You've had to have drawn a few Power Girl, convention sketches, commissions.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
In both in color and black and white over the years, and yeah, she's always fun. I actually appreciate characters that embrace their ridiculousness, because basically all superheroes are ridiculous. Even Batman is ridiculous. If Batman was real, he'd look like a SWAT guy. He would not have a cape. He would not have ears.
Right.
But who wants that? Who wants to see a SWAT guy going around, the city at night? I'd rather see a guy with a cape and bat ears. It's ridiculous. And we want to think about like the stupidest origin of all time. Peter Parker gets bitten by a radioactive spider, and he can suddenly climb walls. Like, come on, it doesn't get any stupider than that, but you just go with it, what the heck? Mm-hmm. And Power Girl is totally ridiculous with her silly outfit and her exaggerated proportions. So why not,
Yeah, that's so true. Let's see here. What do we got next? We're moving on to lot 21. Another Red Sonja cover. We've got a couple more of those. This is from Empire of the Dam. This is issue 1. And again, you're a little bit extra work on this one, because you got the table and the knifed and slashed up characters here. I mean, even Red Sonja, look at it. She must have been slugging some guys. She's bruised up in her hands and everything as well. So there's a lot of extra detail in here, even in the scars on her. So this is a fun piece.
Yeah, and there's a little goofy Easter egg in this one. I sent the sketch to the editor, Matt Idelson, who's a very cool guy, and he said, "Hey, great! Looks like they got into a fight after a Monopoly game. So if you look carefully on the table, you'll see little Monopoly pieces, and right underneath her foot, there's a Monopoly board."
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
So this is how Red Sonja plays Monopoly, or this is how she loses at Monopoly.
That's funny. Nope, I had no idea. I don't think anybody did. Everybody's getting a kick out of it, though. So if we have any Monopoly fans out there, this might be the only time you will see the game Monopoly on the cover of a comic book. Albeit, it's covered in blood at the same time. But that is so funny, man. I didn't see that, and I put this slide together and I didn't notice it.
I think next to her sword, there are like the little red and green houses, the motels.
I can't not see it now. I'm kind of embarrassed that I didn't catch that while I was putting this together. Well, this makes it even more fun. So this one's priced at $2,500, lot 21 on 11 by 17. James Siegel says most good Monopoly games end in blood. Oh boy.
Do not pass go.
Exactly. Here is lot number 22. So this is from, and I think this might be, well, no, we have a few others, but we got a couple of the different titles to look at after this. But this is Red Sonja Mother number 12 cover, 11 by 17, priced at $2,500. And the skull collection is growing on this one. And
yeah, she's got 4 this time.
yes, exactly. They almost look like they're having a good time too. But she isn't. She's definitely PO'd. So yeah, nicely done again, man.
And when you really like, I'm actually very proud of this one.
I was just going to ask
something about her vibe I really like.
Yeah, I mean, do you typically do that like the outline on the character? Is that something you do like as a final, or do you do that as part of the process? Because at first I didn't think I saw it on the published piece, but I do see it. So so you're really thinking of it almost as a finished piece, when you're doing something like that, even before you get to doing the backgrounds digitally.
Yeah, and what's actually evolved is like a 2-stage inking process. I used to, pencil something and then ink it with black ink, and then color on top of that. But I've found, I use Pigma pens for the inking, and they make this really nice sepia tone pen. And what I do actually is I'll fully ink everything in the sepia tone, and you'll see the sepia tone if you look at, like, say, the lines on her corset area. That's the pure brown inking. And then after I'm done putting all the color in, I'll go back in with black and put in like the deeper shadows, like say that the black lines under her shoulder plate and things like that. I'll do that in the black, and the little spaces between her chinks of chainmail. And yeah, it gives it a more painterly feel, I think.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. Interesting.
And again, that's all part of the working process. Like I think say Bruce Timm, looking at his work, the way I think he works is he'll, instead of inking something, he'll just do a strong pencil outline, and then he'll color that, and that, being as there's no ink lines on it, it'll look more like a painted piece.
Mm-hmm.
And so by using the brown ink to ink something, it's aiming in the same direction to get more of a painted feel.
Well,
because as Barry Smith pointed out, real life does not have black lines around everything. And, comic art is the ultimate abstraction, because nothing in reality looks like comic art. And, the goal of a painting is to capture some of what you can either see with your naked eye or with what you can see in a photograph, which is just planes of color contrasting against each other. And, the history of comic inking comes from the printing process. They inked everything in bold black lines so that when they plopped the color in there, it held it together better. It gave a more crisp image, because the printing wasn't very good back then. But the printing these days is amazing. It's top shelf. So yeah, the goal is to keep aiming towards the painted waters to get more of a painted look.
Well, you're definitely getting that here, and the more I fixate my eyes on her chest area, I see how you work those planes of color without needing a black line to distinguish them. It's but then you handle it the same way within her face too. You're really not putting any heavy lines there either. You're just letting the color really define everything. And you, like you said, modern printing allows for that these days, whereas printing back in the 70s might not have allowed to that. You'd have to give a hard line to her nose or her lips or something like that, just to make sure that it would get distinguished in the coloring. So yeah. All right, well, this one's available, lot 22, $2,500. Let's take a look at lot 23. So we're switching over to Sheena right here, and this is from Sheena issue 5, the cover of that one. So this is priced at $2,500, and yeah, I like the I love how you get the figure in the water like that, and then I look over at the color piece how you handled just kind of changing the lighting and the color in the water. It's interesting, the process. I mean, because it, like when you get it over there, you can kind of tinker around with it and kind of see what color might make her pop more, might make the figure in the water pop a little bit differently. But yeah, this is the angle on this piece is fantastic, and the lighting on it is beautiful. And it's amazingly thought out. You know, when you figure you're kind of pulling this thing together, you have to really think about the light source and you know, and so much more. And you know, you've done a fantastic job on here lighting her in this piece.
Oh, thanks, Bill. Yeah, this is another one of those pieces that came to me like a completed painting in my head, and yeah, I knew exactly how the lighting would be, and exactly you know, with a position of you know, the slight shadow in the water. Yeah, you know, the overhead lighting casting the shadow, you know, putting her face in shadow, but the highlight across her chest, and yeah, I'm actually very proud of this one. This you know, it's streamlined, it's very simple, but I think all the elements are in the exact right place.
I agree.
Yeah, it makes me think of Jimmy Page. I remember talking to someone once about Jimmy Page, and I'm a really huge Led Zeppelin fan, and this guy was not. And he said, Jimmy Page is the laziest guitarist out there. You know, he doesn't do a lot of work. And I'm like, well, there's a lot of negative space in what he does. You know, he doesn't need to, you know, do 10 million notes. Doesn't need to noodle away like crazy. You know, every riff, you know, has a certain amount of negative space before it and after it. And to me, that has more punch. And as many artists have said, you know, it's not the lines you put down that are important; it's the lines you leave out. And yeah, I think this piece is you know, a fine example of me using negative space and it really working.
Agreed. Yep, I completely agree with you.
So I dedicate this piece to Jimmy Page.
Although, yeah, Alberto says Sheena does not make me think of Jimmy Page, but that's okay. We're it's all right, Alberto. Most things make Alberto think of Captain America. So Alberto's the biggest Cap fan in the audience. So, unfortunately, we don't have any Captain America art for you today, Alberto. But Alberto's picked up a few pieces in the past. So let's take a look at the next slide here. What's 24? Oh, that's right. This is from Dawn Attack #2, the cover to that, and this is priced at $2,500. And yeah, you put a lot of extra work on this one. You know, you didn't worry about leaving the robot or the spaceship as pencil elements that you kind of noodle around with in Photoshop. You put it all on this piece. This is beautiful.
Thanks, Bill. Yeah, this well, this was I think published by was it Opus?
Yes.
And yeah, Dawn Attack is a Frazetta concept based on a series of Frazetta paintings, and yeah, you know, anything Frazetta, I had a, you know, I mean, I always, you know, aim for the fences. I always try to hit a home run, but with Frazetta, it's like, okay, you know, got to roll up the sleeves, you know, got to, you know, really go to town with the Frazetta piece.
Well, you did that here. Now, is this a series of covers that you did, or was this just?
I just did one because I think maybe this was like a 4-issue series. But yeah, I just did one. I think they also had, you know, guys like Dan Panosian doing covers, and yeah, this again, this was a lot of fun.
Well, it came out beautifully. So this is it's on 11x17, like the rest of them.
Yeah.
Ben asked, how much time does it take to produce one of these pieces? I mean, this might be one that took a little bit more time than usual because of the amount of background in it. But from start to finish, you know, if you had to quantify your hours in a piece, what would something like this take you?
Probably 3 days.
Yep.
You know, one day to draw everything and lay everything out. One day of laying in all the essential colors, and then one day to tighten everything up and put in the little white highlights, and then, you know, scan that and then tighten it up in Photoshop, you know, add the backgrounds. Yeah, on this one, if you look at the published piece, you can see, you know, as the figure gets touches the ground, everything gets darker. That's so much easier to do in Photoshop than it is organically, because I don't know how many times in Photoshop I've pushed things and gone too far, and thank God in Photoshop you can go backwards and say, oh, let me reverse that process.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there are a couple of paintings I've completely screwed up. The originals back in the old days, because I was like, let me put more shadows here. And then you sit back and say, damn it, I fucked it up.
Right. Sometimes it's better just to hold back and then experiment later. Yeah.
Yeah, and the glory of Photoshop is you can experiment, you can play with things and push things a little bit further, because it's all virtual, and if you have to go back to square one, you still have the original piece of artwork to start from. And that's happened a couple of times where I put, like, say 15 hours worth of Photoshop into something, and then I sat back and said, I don't like it. This didn't come out the way I was dreaming. And I would just say, well, scrap that and just go back to the scan of the original and start all over, which you really can't do. I should say you can do that with a completely organic piece of art, but it's more of a pain in the neck.
Frazetta did a lot of that, post editing kind of stuff. But yes.
Well, with Frazetta, working in oils, they're incredibly opaque, and they cover, so you can just go in and completely paint out a figure, or just build up on top of it. And working with markers as much as I do, when it's down, it's down. It's very tough to take out a figure. I'd have to switch mediums, basically. I'd have to switch over to purely acrylics,
right?
Which I do sometimes, but if I wanted to completely change a figure on one of my pieces, I would just start over. I would just grab a fresh piece of paper and grab my light box and transfer everything onto a new blank page.
Right. No, I get it. I mean, yeah. I mean, the way you're working right now works for you, and in the process that you have, to get that many covers done in a month. So switching to all acrylic just to have a Control Z option in your traditional work doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But so next up,
yeah,
I think.
One last thing about that is, as I've said many times, for me, the finished product is actually the printed book.
Right.
So whatever gets me to that point, I'm happy with. That's still the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. When I pull the book out of the box and I see it printed for the first time, it's like, yay! It all came together. It all works.
Exactly. I mean, out of curiosity, did you, like, when you do your scan and then you do everything digitally and send it off to the publisher, do you ever go back and retouch up the original? Like, you look at it and think, it needs something more to make me feel happy with the way it is before I would put it on a show like today and sell it.
Like putting hair on Vampirella, yes.
Like putting hair on Vampirella, yes, exactly. That'd be the extreme, but something else. I don't know, like something it needed.
Oh, yeah. I have done that with a number of pieces.
Yeah.
Either added more highlights, or changed something, or just improved something, just bring it up a notch.
Well, something you discovered when you were doing it digitally, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make that change on the original too, because something worked. Maybe whether it was a color or it was a tone, something along those lines. So it happens every once in a while.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's take a look at lot 25 here. This is the only other Vampirella piece we have today. This is from Vampirella Dark Reflections, issue number 2, the cover to that one. And there's no blood dripping or anything going on this one, but it's very, very beautiful, very seductive Vampirella. This one's priced $2,500, and I think it's cool that you added in that the winged shape behind her, traditionally painted in there. I mean, it's just it's cool. I mean, it helps kind of ground the figure, even just in the traditional piece. But it's a beautiful beautiful piece, man.
Thank you. And we're all familiar with the Jose Gonzalez 6-foot Vampirella door poster.
Oh yeah.
Whenever I get a chance to do a full figure Vampirella, I of course think of that. And that's such an iconic, timeless image. It's like, okay, let's see what I can do that could possibly be comparable to that. So what I wanted to do with this was just do a really great portrait of Vampirella.
Well, you did that. Richard Pace says he's got that classic poster. I think many of us had that classic poster of Vampirella. Yeah, no, this one came out perfect, man. Thanks.
And with that classic poster, I remember out at, I think it was at Big Wow, the convention years ago. I remember talking with a bunch of artists, and Steve Morger was there. And I said, that Jose Gonzalez image, I wonder where that is now. And right off the top of his head, Steve says, oh, that's owned by Bob Jones or whatever the guy's name was. And he knew the exact history of like what hands it had passed through and who owned it and who owns it now. And I was like, holy cow. Wow, Steve.
Yeah, there are, anybody who's been in the hobby for 35 years or so, it's amazing to be able to recall pieces like that. But you had to figure, and that's because an image like that is right up Steve's alley. So the idea, I would believe he would want to know where that piece was, just in case one day if you ever wanted to own it. But yeah, I'm always, you talk to some dealers and they can tell you, who's owned certain pieces over the last 20 years. This came from that collection, was sold at auction here, blah blah blah. And it's just, I don't have that kind of memory, for pieces, unfortunately, but a lot of collectors do.
Well, as comic art is getting more and more respected, what's the Mike Zeck, the Spider-Man was first black outfit. What did that sell for? Did that sell for like $2 million or something?
Wasn't it like 3 something? I can't even remember. It's such a big number. It makes you it makes you a little dizzy thinking about it. But but yeah, that's I don't know, that was an odd sale, definitely in the history of our hobby. But
it's iconic in that is going to be remembered by a lot of people for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I can think of a handful of incredibly famous pieces, like the famous Jim Lee X-Men cover with Wolverine and Captain America, and I think Black Widow.
Mm-hmm. That's
like who owns that? Somebody knows who owns that. Probably Steve Morgan knows who owns that.
I think it was on CAF at one point. But like the cover to Jim Lee's X-Men 1 is on CAF. So those they get out there, they get sold, and yeah, and that the interesting thing is, in a lot of cases, is those some of those sales don't happen publicly, right? They don't happen through a dealer website or an auction house. They just change hands, collector to collector. So it's one of the interesting aspects of our hobby, that you kind of have to be in the know, to know where certain pieces are, and or at least know the people who know those people. And at any rate, that's part of the hobby I love, is people love to be able to track things down, just to find out if something even exists, right? If it's never been on the market before, because so many pieces are like that.
And the flip side is, someone recently was telling me about poor Drew Hayes, who did Poison Elves. After he had passed away, he had a lot of artwork in a storage unit, which ended up getting auctioned off. And somebody who didn't know anything about comic art sold a bunch of Drew Hayes pages for like $5 and $10 a piece, because he didn't know anything about them.
Right.
And if you don't know what the value of, like, say, a certain Spider-Man drawing is, or Poison Elves page, I don't know, comic book, who buys this stuff? So I always wonder how many fantastic things, just end up in the garage. Somebody doesn't know.
It probably happens more often than we'd like to know. There's always stories like that. People dropping stuff off at the eBay reseller place, and you end up seeing some, Frank Miller Daredevil page on some Joe eBay's, lot, kind of thing. And it's just like, how in the heck does that happen? That somebody ends up with a Frank Miller Daredevil that they're going to take to an eBay reseller to do the sale for them. I mean, but it happens. It just shows you that there's a lot of art out there. People back in the 70s or 80s, just walking by an artist's table, they pick up one random piece from something that they don't know why they did it, and then it sits in their closet for 30 years and ends up going, to some heir at some point, and then they have this thing they think it's a print, So
yeah.
I think there's a lot more of that out there than we're aware of, just because if we were to try to document the amount of artwork that isn't on CAF or hasn't been sold before, I mean, it's gonna be more than 2/3 of the artwork produced has never been publicly seen or changed hands, right? So there's a lot of art out there. Yeah.
And also something that has happened to me. I remember doing sketches in 88, 89, 90, where I was doing like a full color sketch for like $25. And, I did a lot of conventions in New York, and I had people, get these sketches. And going back to New York these days, whenever I do a show there, there's always someone who comes up and says, "Hey, I remember back in the 80s, I bought full color pieces off you." And I've had people look through my folder of artwork, and they're like, "Does that say $500? And I'm like, "Yes, that's $500 for a full color piece." And they're like, "Wow, I remember paying $25. It's like, well, that was 30 years ago.
Times have changed.
So I think a lot of people, they figure, I paid $25 for it,
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember somebody recently on Facebook was talking about, getting John Buscema pages for like $50 a piece at conventions. And like, well, that was a long time ago now. That stuff has gone way up in value.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I agree. I'm priced out of many things that I'd love to own these days, as are many collectors. But the beautiful thing is there's always art out there to collect. Let's see. Ernesto said I won a piece from Joe at an auction at a comic book convention. That might have been at Hero, probably. Hero used to. Well, they still do auctions over there, but.
And I always contribute to their auction.
Mm-hmm. So let's see here. So we got 6 more pieces to look at, and then we're going to recap things. So next up, this one is lot 26, priced at $2,500. It's from Purgatory Must Die #3, the cover to that one. This is on 11 by 17. Nicely rendered background on there with the low wall that she's leaning against. That aside from the lighting, didn't change a whole lot in the finished piece there.
Yeah, Purgatory, much like Vampirella, the focus is on the figure. How can I draw a demon girl and make her look beautiful and sexy?
You always find a way, Joe.
Why, thank you, Bill.
Yes, Bill likes horns. Thanks, James. That's probably true. But yes, very, very nice piece here. And again, priced at $2,500. The cover to Purgatory Must Die #3. Let's see here. What we got next? Lot 27. We got a few Red Sonja pieces here. These are all very dynamic. This is the cover to issue 6 of Red Sonja, and lot 27, priced at $2,700. Again, I love that you got a lot of action in this one, and I mean the expression on her face. I mean, she's gonna. I don't think she wants to destroy this guy's skull. That's like they're all like a sports pose. This is like they're at the driving range. She's about ready to put that thing right through this guy's forehead vertically.
Well, it's a good thing you mentioned the driving range. John Buscema said if you want to learn anatomy, he said look at sports photos. Don't look at bodybuilding magazines or anything. And John Buscema recommended that every artist, every guy doing comic books, should get a subscription to Sports Illustrated. And yeah, definitely. I look more at either guys playing tennis or guys playing golf or guys playing baseball to see them, to see the body in motion swinging something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I said batter up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she's not taking her eye off the target, that's for sure. Every time I keep looking at that middle image, yeah, she is really mad. But yeah, very very nicely done piece here, man. And again, you get 4 villains on this thing. This is great. And a little bit of blood. Muscle, let's see. Dawn says muscles and bones masterful. Yep. Richard Pace, artist Richard Pace says, I do sketch while watching MMA fights. So
oh yeah, definitely.
That makes a lot of sense. And
yeah, because especially during MMA fights, you really see the way the human body is. You have this rigid structure, the skeleton, and everything else on top of that is elastic, is rubbery. And between someone throwing a punch and someone receiving a punch, you get to see how the rubber musculature twists and turns and contorts. And that's actually brilliant to do that. Richard does great work. So I approve. I do the same thing sometimes.
Very cool. Well, let's see. 27 is at $2,700, still available. And next up, now this one's, the imagery is a little bit of a departure from the way, the way the face is drawn in this one, but it's so beautiful, man. This is lot 28, priced at $3,000, covered in red Sonia 11. But just the approach on this piece, there's something different about it. It's more painterly. Maybe it feels a little more airbrushy, and maybe that's, I know you do such amazing things with the alcohol-based Copic markers, but there's just something more delicate about this particular piece, even, with the carnage beneath her. The figure of Red Sonja is just uniquely done on this one.
Thank you, Bill. And like I was saying, I'm constantly trying to get a more painterly look, and I'm very proud of this one. I did this one, I think, in January. And the calm after the storm, so to speak.
Well, she looks at peace in this one, but yeah, there's just something about it. And I didn't realize this was a 2024 piece. So this is a more recent one. And it's very well rendered. Tina Hager says, satisfaction at a job well done. Yes. The shading is ridiculous on this one. No, it is absolutely gorgeous. And perfect setting for her in this like barren wasteland with the sun setting in the background. Very, very nice. But yeah, beautiful piece. This one's priced at $3,000, lot 28. It covered a red Sonia 11. And let's see here. We got 3 more pieces to look at. One more red Sonia piece. This is the cover to issue 7. And again, you're playing with a fun color palette here. It's, you're getting the most out of these pinks and purples, and the lighting on the city and her is very unique. It's it's almost like the sun is setting, and it's casting this interesting glow on her in the city. It's beautiful.
Oh, thanks, Bill. Yeah, I love purples. I think purple in one form or another is in every single piece I do. And the peaches and the sunset colors really got to have fun with this. And with the red Sonia covers, on this series, I'm doing it, I think, a fair clip ahead of the interiors. So I'm given more freedom to just come up with imagery. And I like this one. This I actually had a lot of fun drawing that crazy tower.
I can tell. There were Corey said they love the tower as well. But yeah, it's very cool that you're using purple as your shadow color here, and it just works really well. You can see it from underneath the hood, casting a shadow on her hair, and then her arm and the sword on her stomach. That's really nice. And Richard Pace says, I prefer the white backgrounds. That must have been discussed before you popped in. I don't know. We've talked about it before because that's Joe's approach in most cases, where he does the a lot of the background sections digitally. It's kind of just part of the technique in the process. But because you've done finished pieces, we had that. I think one of the last shows we had, maybe it was the last show where you had that one, that San Diego variant where it had the second drawing with the San Diego Center.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that piece. So, sometimes they're fully rendered, but in most cases they're done like this, Richard. So this is lot 29, priced at $3,000. We've got 2 more to look at here. So the next one is this Deja Thoris cover, and we've had a lot more of these in the past. So this is the only one we have today. This is from issue 3, priced at $3,000 on 11 by 17, and it's a. On this one, I mean, I'm looking at the way he handled the backgrounds digitally. It's, I can see that, how I just think it's amazing they're able to kind of pull it all together. You can't, the way you handle what you're doing on the page and then transferring that to finish it over digitally. There's just so much thought. I'm not a color person, so I'm just amazed that you can go from one to the next and still make it all kind of work together so seamlessly. But again, another great piece here, man.
Oh, thanks, Bill. I always try to think in hot versus cold, red versus blue, and in this case, she's red, and so it just made sense to have a blue background so she pops against it. And every surface in the world reflects to one degree or another. So even though she's on the red side, there's still little bits of blue reflections on her, and that, to me, that actually gives an image glue. It actually pulls it together.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody's giving me a hard time about dancing around the obvious. Yes, she has a chunky butt. I'll give her that. Yes, you can't dance around this stuff. I mean, I'm not
dance around her chunky butt.
Lower gravity on Mars makes heels doable, says Richard Pace. Well, that's probably true.
David's got back.
Oh man. The comments. At any rate, this is a beautiful piece, lot number 30, priced at $3,000. Antoine says this is his dream girl. Growing up, I think it was a lot of guys' dream girls, right? John Carter, he had it pretty good at the end of the day. Let's see.
There's a reason to leave Earth.
Yes. And so I got one more piece to look at, and I actually lied. This is the actual last Red Sonja piece we've got from Sonja Versal issue 10, and this one's priced at $3,500, and very, very completely done piece. Even you can put the clouds in there. I mean, obviously you played around with the color and the tone a little bit when you did it digitally, but this one you went all out, and it's gorgeous. I love the fact that you got it all blocked in there. The wall to the castle there at the edge. I mean, everything in here is it's really, really, really nice, man.
Thanks. I'm really proud of this one, and like I said, on Sonja Versal, I got to experiment every issue and just come up with a new facet of Red Sonja. And as we all know, a female warrior would not wear a chainmail bikini.
No, she would not.
It looks cool, but a real female warrior would look like Brienne of Tarth from Game of Thrones. She would do the smart thing and have a suit of armor. She'd protect herself. So this was, I was like, okay, what would Red Sonja really look like? She would not have long flowing hair. She would have a more almost Prince Valiant type hairdo, and she'd protect herself. She'd have a helmet, armor, shoulder plates, the whole shebang. So I love this piece.
As well, you should. And I just saw a question from Alberto. Does Joe do package deals? Well, Alberto, if there was like a few pieces you were interested in, I'm sure Joe and I could entertain an offer if you thought there were 3 or 4 things or something that you were interested in. We'd always hear them out, right, Joe? At the end of the day.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, everything's negotiable.
Yeah.
Well, not everything, but
yeah,
but lots of things are.
There you have it. So I'll recap everything that we have available, and yeah, I mean, if the thing is, of course, we know that a lot of these shows get seen after the fact. We are on a Saturday afternoon, and some people are busy. So anything that we're going to show you that has been unclaimed, feel free to shoot me an email, bill@comicartfans.com, and I'll let you know if it's still available. As Alberto just mentioned, he might throw a package offer into us. You're more than welcome to do that. Anybody, of course, at any time. So I'd say get them in sooner versus later, because like we talked about, I don't have the art in hand, and Joe and I tend to wait until, to give everybody like 3 or 4 days to watch the show. And any of the marketing I do right after the show. But usually by like Wednesday or Thursday, I've got everything in the mail. So anybody that's watching the show afterwards or is thinking about making an offer for a package deal of some sort, get them in soon. Don't wait until Wednesday, or the time will have been passed, and you'll have to see Joe at Heroes or Baltimore or Tucson or any of the other shows that Joe is going to be at. And so yeah, let me just run through the pieces that we have unsold right now. And first up, my only typo of the night, as it turned out, this is Tura Satana from Faster Pussycat Kill Kill. This is the box art to that one. It's priced at $1,000. We also have lot number 9. That was from a pinup from Comics for Ukraine. This one is $1,200, and it's on 11 by 17. Then we've got Jennifer Blood number 7 cover, and it is lot 10, priced at $1,200. Got a lot 11 from Sonya Versal number 7, priced at $1,200 as well. Then this very beautiful Devil Jack cover, lot number 12, priced $1,200. Then we have the cover to Jennifer Blood number 1, and this one is priced at $1,500 on 11 by 17. Then we had lot 14 was claimed by Ernesto. Thank you, Ernesto. Then we have lot 15 next. This was the one where she was published bald, but Joe put the hair on her, much for the betterment of the piece, I believe. And this is from Dynamite Lives number 3, and it's priced at $2,000. Lot 15, we have lot 16, Red Sonja number 9 cover, priced at $2,000. And we have 17 here, $2,300 for the cover to Immortal Red Sonja 4. And Empire of the Dam number 4 Red Sonja piece from lot number 18. This is a recent piece, and this one's priced at $2,300. We got lot 19, lots of bricks on this one, and a skull, priced at $2,300. Cover to Red Sonja 11. And let's see here. What do we got next? Lot 20 is the cover to Red Sonja, Empire of the Dam number 2, $2,300 on this one. 21 is the Red Sonja Empire of the Dam number 1 cover with the Monopoly board and pieces on it, priced at $2,500. And 22 is the Red Sonja Mother cover number 12, priced at $25. We got Sheena. This is the cover to issue 5 for lot 23, priced at $2,500. And the Dawn Attack number 2 cover, for Frank Frazetta creation. This one is lot 24, priced at $2,500. We have a Vampirella Dark Reflections number 2 cover, priced at $2,500 as well, which is lot 25. And then a few more here. We got the Purgatory Must Die number 3 cover, priced at $2,500. A Red Sonja number 6 cover, and this is lot 27, priced at $2,700. The Red Sonja 11 cover, priced at $3,000, lot number 28. The Red Sonja 7 cover, priced at $3,000, and that's lot 29. And 2 more. We got the Deja Thoris Chunky Butt, beautiful piece, and it's the issue 3 cover, priced at $3,000. And last but not least, the Sonya Versal number 10 cover, priced at $3,500. And there we have them all. So, yeah. Oh, and Nick Ferrucci threw a claim in there while I wasn't paying any attention. He claimed lot 13. That was I'll highlight that for everybody so they can remember which one that was. I know that was a Jennifer Blood. It was the issue 1 cover. So, wise choice, Nick.
Very nice.
And you will get, now they're pencil, right? The skulls, they were done in, I think, pencil maybe, or they're not.
Actually, no, those are done in Copic marker also.
Oh, really? Okay, awesome. Well, there'll be 2 pieces to this lot, Nick. I don't know if you're here when we were showing them off, but yeah, the skulls are done on a separate board, scanned in, and then composited, as you know, since you are the man. So thank you, Nick, for that. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Nick. Very wonderful.
All right, let me highlight that. All right, so Joe, as always, man, these are lots of fun, and I appreciate you taking the time today to do this, to pull it all together for us, and we'll see how things go. Any package deals that come in from Alberto or somebody, or any offers or whatnot, I will let you know about them, and I look forward to getting to see you at Heroes, man. I'll be honest,
Yeah, same here, man.
too long. I know that. I mean, because you're always around. You stay at the hotel, so we'll get to see each other. Good. Yeah,
excellent.
I'm looking forward to that. So thank you everybody for hanging out with us. It was Saturday afternoon here on the channel. We appreciate you taking the time to do that. Those of you who claimed artwork, please email me, bill@comicartfans.com. We'll take care of the billing and and getting all that squared away. We appreciate you picking up art today. And again, we'll see you again soon. And Joe, thanks, man. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yeah, Bill, thank you so much for being such a fantastic host. It's always great chatting with you. I always walk away a better man. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And I look forward to seeing everybody out there on the convention circuit this year. And next weekend, Free Comic Book Day at Battlegrounds Comics and Games in Dalton, Georgia.
Very good. If I was in the area, I'd be going. You got Joe, Christina, Terry Moore, Adam Hughes. It's its own mini con happening at Free Comic Book Day at Battlegrounds. So yeah, definitely. I hope you have a great turnout, man.
Excellent.
And then Jeffrey Moy just threw a claim in on lot 11. So I'll make a note of that. Thank you, Jeffrey. As always, man, fellow artist Jeffrey Moy has always been a big supporter of our shows. So thank you, Jeffrey. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
All right. Enjoy your rest of the weekend, everybody. Joe, take it easy. Say hey to Christina for me, man.
I will.
All right. Bye.